simulation, okay? When you count backwards. The red part is your basal ganglia. This is where every single habit that you have. Habit is nothing more than a fancy word for pattern. And psychologists estimate that we spend half of the day in the red zone. This is autopilot. This is where you're making decisions and you're not even thinking about it. This is where anxiety lives. This is where the habit of procrastination lives. If you're a right-hander or a left-hander, all the mechanics and patterns associated with writing with either hand in the red part. Green part is your prefrontal cortex. You're using your prefrontal cortex when you're doing any kind of strategic thinking, when you're learning new behavior, when you're acting with courage and taking a risk, and when you are speaking with confidence, when you're selling, when you're negotiating, when you're analyzing something. So let's count backwards out loud together, because we're all freaks here. You ready? Okay? And we're going to see what happens in your brain. Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Excellent. Now, if there were some of you that felt a little bit of pressure right here, I'm not a hypnotist, okay? That's not part of this act. It's just that you are being super mindful about which part of the brain that you're using, and you experience what it's like to switch between the two. And when you start to understand, and I know I say this, and I'm going to say it 100 times because I want you to get it. You can't control the things that happen around you. You can't control the things that happen to you. But you can choose how you respond to those triggers. And when you do, your life changes. Just ask God.
Not only has 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 helped me overcome an addiction to the snooze button, but it's also helped me to stay sober and away from substances. Even in finding out that my grandma's cancer was back this weekend, where normally that would send me into a spiral to make some choices that were not in my best interest. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm able to stay strong for my family, keep my career going, and continue the good progress I've made after 3.5 years of sober.
Right? One decision. It's going to come down to one decision. And you've got the power to make better decisions every single day. Decisions that support your dreams. Decisions that have you step out of your comfort zone and reach your potential. Decisions that improve the relationships that you're in. Now let me show you some specifics about how I want you to use this, because I want you to master this. I want to talk about the brain for just a second. There's 2 modes to our brain. Autopilot, which is the red part, and we've all experienced autopilot before. Have you ever had that experience where you drive to work and you get there and you're like, oh my gosh, you drove the car? You did. It's just that you do it so many times the same way that you can kind of check out and do it on autopilot. Now look, if a deer jumps out, immediately your prefrontal cortex takes over and you start focusing on what you're doing. And then when the deer's gone, you kind of drift back to autopilot. Now here's the reason why you can know what to do, but you don't do it. The reason why has to do with your brain. Autopilot is making decisions for you. And in fact, autopilot has already made decisions for you today. And it is going to interfere with you reaching your potential at this conference. You want me to prove it to you? Here we go. How many of you are excited to be here because you're going to expand your professional and personal network by being here? Let me see a show of hands. Of course, everybody. And now how many of you are sitting next to people you know? Oh, look at that. I'm going to go all the way to Long Beach. I'm going to pay all this money to expand my personal network. I'm going to sit with everybody. Let me explain what happened. You have a habit that you don't even realize, and so does everybody in your organization that you're trying to coach. Everybody. We learned it when we were this big. Do you remember what it was like in the first grade, where you go to the cafeteria and you get your tray? Right? And then you go, and you come out to the big open room. What do? Where are my friends? Where are my friends? Every time you walk into an open room, the red part of your brain is triggered. And that's why networking is so hard. It's not because we're not capable of doing it. It's because the second we walk into an open room, we're like, where are my friends? Where are my friends? And you don't even think about it. So I want to change that. Stand up. I know Raphael already made you say hello to people. I want to take it a step further. You're going to have 30 seconds. Walk towards the first person you know, or don't know. Jeez Louise. The first person job. Give yourself a round of applause. Why would I do something so annoying? Because it's easy to talk about change. And I want you to become a master of it. You see, you know what happened when I said, I want you to switch seats, and all of you were like, that was your brain fighting you going out of your comfort zone. You know when you tell people to do things and to change, or you make recommendations, and they don't follow it? You're dealing with that resistance that's in all of us. It's always going to be there. If you don't like to network and you walk into an open room and this part of your brain gets triggered, you're not going to want to. You're going to have to do something intentional. You're going to have to will the change. And so I want you to use the 5-second rule to practice behavior change while you're here. What does that mean? That means every time you walk into an open room, you've got the chance to master change, because you're going to be on autopilot. You're going to be like, where are my friends? Where are my friends? And then you're going to realize the signal, the alarm's going to go off, and it's going to go, oh, wait a minute, I'm supposed to look for other people. And then you're going to go, I did that last session, I'm not doing that this session. You're going to go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, walk towards the first person that you're drawn to. Look, you can be attracted to them, just don't be weird about it. We're not stalking people, not doing anything that's not compliant here. Do you understand me? I don't want this tool being misused. There's another reason why I want you to do this, and it has to do with my favorite photo of all time. You're right, that's Einstein. Very smart. There's Marie Curie, by the way. She's not only the first woman to win a Nobel Prize, she's one of only 4 scientists to ever win the prize twice in the history of the award. Now, why am I showing you? Yeah, pretty cool. Why am I showing you a photo from 1929? I'll tell you why. 29 of the world's leading scientists had come together at a conference. They were doing what you're doing. They were there to talk about all the opportunities and challenges that were facing the scientific community. Just like here, you're here to talk about all the opportunities and challenges that are facing your community. Now, you know what's amazing about this photo is that there are 17 Nobel Prize winners present. But they're not Nobel Prize winners yet in this photo. You see, they won the prize right after the conference. This is the conference where they discuss photons. This is where quantum physics was invented. Now consider something for a second. Consider how fewer the breakthroughs would have been if just Marie and Albert hung out together as their friends. There are people in this room that will change the trajectory of your life. There are people in this room that will change this industry. You will not unlock your own potential if you check out and you're on autopilot at this conference. Every time you walk into a room, you have an opportunity to change, to will yourself, to step out of your comfort zone, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and walk up to somebody that can change the direction of your life. One decision. It changes everything. Now let me show you how to use this to deal with the biggest obstacles that people face. First of all, do we have any procrastinators in here? Yep, the rest of you are just procrastinating on raising your hand. I got your number. There's a professor up in Canada that has been studying procrastination, get this, for 19 years. I think your job is irritating at times. And he has an incredible theory that's changed my life around procrastination. He believes, and I believe that this is true, that procrastination has nothing to do with things that you need to do. Has nothing to do with work, has nothing to do with cleaning that spare bedroom, has nothing to do with getting the photo albums done from last summer's trip. That procrastination is a form of stress relief. I'm going to unpack this for you because this can change your relationship to stress when you really understand it. So, we all have stress, right? Maybe mom or dad is not feeling so good and you're the primary caretaker and it's on your shoulders, or maybe one of your kids or your animals is not feeling well, or they're sick, or they're in trouble and you're worried about it, or maybe you're going through something like I was. Your marriage is falling apart, you're terrified financially, so you walk into work and you got all this stress on your shoulders, and then you sit down and you got to look at a bunch of documents and read a bunch of stuff, and it requires your prefrontal cortex to dial in, and your prefrontal cortex looks at you and it's like, oh, do I have to look at this right now? I mean, I know it's it's review season, but for crying out loud, can I just watch a cat video for a second? I can't possibly do this anymore. And next thing you know, an hour's gone. And now you're more stressed out. So there's only one way based on science to break the habit of procrastination, and here's how you do it. The next time you catch yourself procrastinating, it's actually a moment of power because you're present and you've now got a decision to make. You're going to go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 to awaken your prefrontal cortex and interrupt the pattern of blowing off what you need to do. And then you're going to ask yourself this question. What am I stressed about right now? The second that you ask that question and you say what's stressing you out, you actually loosen its hold in your body. Now I want you to do one thing, just one thing. I want you to send that email, I want you to read one paper, I want you to do one Google search, I want you to make that one phone call, just do one thing. And the reason why I want you to do one thing is I know that if I can get you to do one thing, 80% of you will keep going. Because the problem isn't, and listen closely, the problem isn't your ability to work. Your problem is that you've trained yourself not to when you're stressed. So we want to change that autopilot response. And when you do it, you're going to be shocked. Darren saw me speak a little while ago, and he's an engineer. And people that are in analytical jobs that require you to be certain tend to procrastinate a lot because they're thinking a lot and their job requires them to be right. So it's easy to get trapped up here. So Darren's still writing to me. If I ever hesitate to just do something, any task where in the past I may have left it for later, I count back 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I always do it. It's kind of freaky. I agree. It is kind of freaky. Now let's talk about the big one, fear and anxiety. Look, nerves are normal. In fact, if you're not nervous once a week at work, you should be nervous because it means you're not doing anything new. How do you expect to grow? How do you expect to reach your potential if you're never pushing yourself outside your comfort zone? When you start using 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and you start seeing this hesitation and overthinking and procrastination bubble in your way all the time, you're going to be freaked out because you're going to go, oh my gosh, it's there again, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you're going to start pushing yourself. And then you're going to be nervous because you're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to kill Mel. I volunteered for this thing that's terrifying. Why did I do this? Oh my gosh, and I'm so mad at Mel. I asked for this promotion and I got it. Now what am I going to do? I'm going to tell you what you're going to do. You're going to master your own body. So what I'm about to explain to you is science from Harvard Medical School that is only a year old, and it is amazingly powerful. And before I tell you the little mental trick that you can use to deal with those situations where you feel nervous or afraid, let me explain fear and nerves in your body. Because if I just tell you the tool, you're going to think it's stupid and you're not going to use it. So here we go. There is no difference in your body between being excited and being nervous. Is she nervous or is she excited? Whatever you're thinking, you're right. Because there's no difference. The only difference between nerves and excitement is what you're thinking. The last time I was nervous, I was in the middle school, and we have a 13-year-old son who, he's won the genetic lottery. He has dyslexia, he has dysgraphia, he has ADHD, he has executive functioning issues, and we've thrown in a little anxiety just to round him out. And I don't know about any of you, but we've got to go through these meetings in the States anyway. I think it's called like EIP, or he got the dyslexia from me, can you tell? And you have to beg for services. And when I'm standing in the hallway outside of this meeting, my stomach is in knots. My heart is racing, my armpits are sweating like Niagara Falls, my throat is tight, my hands are clammy, and my head's going, oh my gosh, I hate these meetings. What if they don't give up the services? What if he doesn't get that tutor? Oh my gosh, what are we gonna do? I don't like that person that's in there. And by the time that I get into the meeting, I have riled myself up that I completely forget what I'm supposed to say. I almost immediately start yelling or crying, and the thing is terrible, okay? I've worked myself up. The last time I was excited, I was at Gillette Stadium, U2, the Joshua Tree Tour. Anybody see that? Absolutely insane, right? Well, what happened is they decided to play their entire album start to finish from 1984, which was when I was still in high school. So imagine this, the videos are rolling, they're from 1984, I got a great cold beer in my hand, and the drums start to go, and it's the opening riff, and let me tell you something, you guys, my stomach was in knots, my armpits were sweating like Niagara Falls, my heart was racing, my throat was tight, my hands were clenching, I was so excited. No difference in my body state. Excited for you two to come out. And nervous for this meeting. Well, Harvard Medical School's folks thought, gosh, I wonder if we could figure out, given that there's no physical difference, I wonder if we could figure out how to trick the mind, how to trick the body, how to use the fact that nerves and excitement are the same to coach people to be able to keep their wits about them and perform even though they, quote, feel nervous. This is the coolest coaching tool in the world, so share it with everybody that you work with. Here's the trick. The next time you're in a situation where you feel nervous, or you feel afraid, or you feel on edge, and your stomach is in knots, you're gonna go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then you're gonna go, I am so excited to fire this person. I am so excited to give this speech. I am so excited. And something amazing happens. Your body believes it. So it doesn't escalate. You see, the problem when you say you're nervous is that you start to trigger cortisol, which is a stress hormone in your body. And when cortisol starts to flood through your body, if it hits your prefrontal cortex, it impairs your ability to remember what you're supposed to say. It impairs your ability to think clearly. It impairs your ability to be strategic. It's why you get tongue-tied. It's why you forget what you're supposed to do. It's why you get stage fright. It's because of the cortisol. It's not because of your ability. When they taught this to students at Harvard, in every single instance, whether it was negotiation class, it was karaoke competition, it was a track meet, it was a debate competition, or it was a standardized test, every single kid who was taught to say I was excited performed better. And so will you. And you need this, because now that I've taught you the 5-second rule, you're gonna be like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, oh my God, I'm supposed to give a speech, I'm gonna kill Mel. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I'm so excited. And you're gonna be able to manage the physical things that happen when you start to have courage, when you start to have uncomfortable conversations, when you start to seize the potential of your life, of your work, of your relationships. Now let me take this even a step further and let's build on it, okay? So you know 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You know to say I'm excited when you're nervous. Now let's talk about anxiety. And for those of you that have children with anxiety, please pay attention. I have been startled by the number of people that are writing to us about how scared they are because of the kids that are suffering with anxiety in their lives, including my own. And what I'm about to share with you works. A lot of people look at me and they go, meh, Mel, whatever. She was just bored, confident, and annoying. Annoying, for sure. Just ask my parents, Marsha and Bob. Confident, no way. I think if babies can worry, that was me. I was the kind of kid that when I got called out in class, I turned bright red in the face. When my parents sent me to Girl Scout camp in Western Michigan, I was so homesick, everybody. They actually sent me home. You know how homesick you need to be for them to go, you need to leave. Like, this is out of hand. Like, we can't deal with this. By the time I was 19, it was full-blown anxiety disorder. By the time I was 21, it was panic attacks. Luckily, a good doc put me on Zoloft. I took that stuff for 2 decades. It was a miracle drug. Absolutely amazing. The only time that I came off it was when our now 19-year-old daughter was born, and I had such severe postpartum depression, I couldn't be left alone with her for 8 weeks. So when I talk about how we torture ourselves mentally, I've lived that nightmare, and I take this very seriously. Now, when you put something out into the world, like I did with the 5-second rule, and people start to write to you, they write to you about very profound and moving things. I saved my marriage. I'm able to be sober. I didn't jump overboard and end my life. It does something to you. Like, this is personal for me. And I started to feel this obligation to face my own demons. And so about 5 years ago, I thought to myself, I wonder if I could use the 5-second rule to fundamentally change how I talk to myself, to change how I think, to change my mindset. to cure myself of anxiety? And the answer is, yeah, you can. I mean, I've been off drugs for 5 years. I haven't had a panic attack, a bout of anxiety. Hell, I don't even worry about anything. And I'm going to show you how you can use all of these cool science-backed tools to do the exact same thing. And I'm going to use an example many of you can relate to. And that is the fear of flying. So I used to be a real nervous flyer. By nervous, I mean weird. I would get to the airport, and I'd be at the gate. And I want to see 3 kinds of passengers. I want to see a baby. Good. Okay. I want to see somebody in a wheelchair. Yes. And I want to see some folks in the military. Okay. Because I would say to myself, all right, if those folks were getting on my plane, God's not letting this sucker go down. You know what I'm saying? And then I would get on the plane, and the plane would take off, and I'd start to sweat, and my stomach would be in knots, and my heart would be racing, my throat would be tight. And you know how the plane goes like up, and then it goes like zzz, as it's leveling off? Well, at that point, all hell breaks loose. If you're sitting next to me, I've grabbed you, I've started hyperventilating, I've pulled out my phone, and I'm texting Chris and our 3 children, because if this plane's about to go down, I want my kids to know I tried to be the best mother that I possibly could, and this way they have the text messages to put in the PowerPoint when they deliver my eulogy to prove it to everybody. And you giggle, because we're sick human beings. If I were to put a speaker on your head and broadcast the garbage you say to yourself, you wouldn't be here with me in Long Beach, you'd be in an institution, but you listen to it. You listen to it. Your boss emails you, I'm fired. I am here to tell you, you don't have to. And you shouldn't. Your dreams are not there. Your potential, the magic, the joy, the opportunity of your life, it is not held in your worries, and you can control what you think about. Here's how you do it. The next time you feel your thoughts drift, you haven't heard from somebody you love, they're dead. You're going to use the 5-second rule to interrupt it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then you're going to use this research called an anchor thought. Now, an anchor thought is any thought that makes you happy or excited. So around work, if you're going for something, you're going to step out of your comfort zone, I want you to think about a moment that you're really proud, an impact that you made for somebody whose life you changed. Maybe they sent you an email, maybe you saw them get an award, you're like, yeah, I had an impact there. That's your anchor thought. Every time you get nervous, you're like, I'm so excited to make a difference again like that. For me, when I get back on a plane tomorrow and I fly back to Boston and we hit turbulence and my mind goes, ugh, I'll go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I am so excited. I'm so excited to walk in the front door and see what our 13-year-old son does next. And something interesting happens. Your brain goes, whoa, wait a minute. She didn't say she was nervous, she said she was excited. And now I'm anchoring in on this thought that she's walking in the door. Well, obviously she makes it. We don't have to worry about anything. Wait. She didn't say that she was nervous about this conversation. She said she was excited to make an impact. We don't have to worry about this. Something amazing will happen. You will have just practiced mind and body control. And you will stay in complete control of what you're thinking and what you're doing. And if you don't think you have anxiety, guess again, you're wrong. We all do. I love this email from Muhammad. I had an important email to send, don't we all? But I was afraid. Anxiety is just another word for fear. That's all that it is. You're uncertain about what you're going to do, so you start to fear it. I made an anchor thought, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and click. The results boom. Because you torture yourself by thinking about it. The second you make one decision, and that first decision is to count backwards, you're moving in the direction of your potential. You're acting with courage. You've already decided that you're going to go for it. And that's why I truly believe we're all just one decision away from a better life. And a lot of times it's easy to see it at work, right? It's easy to see where you're procrastinating. It's easy to see where you're holding yourself back. It's easy to see where you feel underappreciated, but you're not actually advocating for yourself. It's easy to see where you're scared, so you're not stepping into your potential. I think the place where we all get really resigned is in the things that matter most to us. But you are always one decision away for everything that you want. including with the things that matter most to you. And the secret is just a 5-second decision. Just ask Brittany and Todd. What you can't tell from this photo is today is Brittany's wedding day. And it's been a terrible decade for this family because Todd and Brittany's mom got a divorce. And what happens in divorce? Oh, God, you just fight, get lawyers, and use the kids as pawns, and get angry. And then what do when the dust settles? Oh, everybody gets remarried. It's like a gigantic team sport. So Todd is walking his new wife down the aisle. And that wisdom that's in you, it's where all the opportunity, the profound nature of the life, it's where it is. It spoke to Todd. It was like, dude, you gotta do something. You gotta do something to heal this family. There were a million reasons not to do what he did. But he made one decision. He sat his new wife down, he turned and walked down the aisle, and he grabbed this man. That's a man he hates. That's Brittany's stepdad. I mean, just look at the lady next to them for crying out loud. And invited him to walk their daughter down the aisle. Yeah, one decision. One decision changes everything. Just ask his family. So whether you use the 5-second rule to make a decision to stop thinking about that nonprofit you wanted to start, like Mark had for 2 decades, and finally 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, do it. Or maybe you're going to use it for something, a little more irritating, like Margaret did, and stop thinking about getting out of bed, even though you don't feel like it, and get to the gym because you said you would. Or maybe you're going to use it like Carol did, to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, raise your hand and become more visible in this association and check off a bucket list in your career. Or maybe you're going to check off another bucket list. I would not recommend this one. I don't know why you people want to jump out of a perfectly good airplane. Or maybe you're going to use it for something more profound, like James did. So James came up to me at a book signing like we're going to have after this session ends, and he had those big tears. You know the kind that cling to your eyeballs? We call them crocodile tears in our house. He puts his hand on his belly, guys, and he goes, "Well, Mel, you really got me. I never thought I'd cry at a supply chain engineering conference." And he went on to tell me that he almost left the room when I was talking about that veteran in the beginning of the speech. And he went on to explain that his baby brother Patrick was a veteran. And he lost him to suicide last year. And he said, I just kept thinking, I wish you'd taken 5, I wish you'd taken 5. And he said, boy, you got to that part about autopilot, and I just wanted to kill you. Because I realized you were talking to me. He said, I used to run, it was my escape, but I haven't had the courage to be out on the road since I lost him. He said, but I'm going to make a decision. I'm going to make a decision to start running today, and I'm going to be doing it to raise money to help prevent suicide among veterans. Or maybe you'll use it for something really annoying, like Dan did, registering for college at the age of 44. Because the fact is, you're never too old, you're never not good enough, and you're never too tired to discover all the magic and joy that your life has to offer. And now you know the secret, and I'll leave you with this.
If today were the last day of my life, would I want to do what I am about to do today? All I want is nothing more.
Did you hear those words?
If I could see your face once more.
When you die, it does not mean that you lose cancer. You beat cancer by how you live, why you live, and in the manner in which you live.
You're giving me the most precious moment. I'm getting to be an old man. I need memories like this.
It is impossible to live without failing at something unless you live so cautiously that you might as well not have lived at all.